rock the jukebox. I wanna hear some Jones. My heart ain't ready for the Rolling Stones.
Let's be honest, reality television is a machine built to create one thing: moments. We get moments of triumph, moments of heartbreak, and moments of pure shock. For over 2 decades, American Idol has been the master of this game, a cultural conveyor belt that can turn an unknown singer into a household name overnight. We sit on our couches, we vote, we judge, and we feel like we actually know these contestants. We see the carefully crafted packages, the supportive family, the small-town dreams, the tearful backstory. We're given a character to root for. And in season 23, one of the most compelling characters was an 18-year-old from Louisiana with an old soul and a voice that carried the weight of years he hadn't even lived. His name was John Foster. We saw the cream-colored cowboy hat and the easy smile. We saw him charm the judges, not just with his voice, but with a genuine piece of his heritage, bringing them authentic Cajun food at his audition. We watched him become a hometown hero in Addis, Louisiana, celebrated with a Mardi Gras-style parade where he rode on a float, a surreal and triumphant image shared widely. We saw him on the final stage, the runner-up in a contest of thousands, gracious in defeat and pointing to a higher plan. We saw the public story. The one American Idol wanted us to see was a great story, but it wasn't the whole story. It wasn't even the most important part. You remember the voice? You remember the poise? You remember the kid from Louisiana who lit up the American Idol stage? But away from the lights, there's a story you didn't see on TV. It's a story of deep, unwavering faith forged in the heart of the bayou, a devastating personal loss that almost broke him, and an incredible discipline that was built in private, far from any camera. The story you missed is about a young man who wasn't just singing for votes or for fame. He was singing for something else entirely. He was singing for survival. This is the real story of John Foster and what you didn't know is more powerful than any performance you ever saw to really understand John Foster. You can't start in the Nashville audition room. You can't even start with his music. You have to start in a small town on the west bank of the Mississippi River. It's a place that owes its very existence to the rhythm of a locomotive. You have to start in Addis, Louisiana. Addis isn't just a setting. For John's story, it's woven into his DNA. With a population of just over 6,700 people, it's the kind of place where roots run deep, family names mean something, and community is a daily practice, not just a concept. This is the world that shaped him, a world where life moves at a different pace, guided by church bells and the get-togethers that define Southern life. He grew up surrounded by a culture that is fiercely proud of its Cajun and Creole heritage, traditions that are lived out every day in the food, the dialect, and, of course, the music. So when John brought Cajun food to the judges, it wasn't a gimmick. It was a statement. He was saying, "This is where I come from. This is who I am." But there's a deeper truth about this part of the world that helps explain the incredible discipline that defines John Foster. This is a land of both immense beauty and immense challenges. It's a place that understands resilience because it has to. The history of Louisiana is a history of enduring hurricanes, floods, and economic hardship. It breeds a certain toughness, a practical knowledge that success is never given, it's earned with sweat and persistence. This work ethic wasn't lost on John. While many people see a young, naturally gifted singer, they miss the foundation of /elv, relentless dedication underneath. Long before he was a national name, he was a model student. In 2024, he graduated from Brusley High School as the valedictorian. Think about that for a second. The focus and self-discipline it takes to achieve the highest academic honor in a school is enormous. It means choosing long-term goals over short-term fun, putting in countless unseen hours, and having an internal drive that can't be taught. His high school principal, Walt Lemoyne, said it best: "Everything that you've seen is legit. It's not cliché." John Foster was just always a model student, a model human being. Lemoyne also described him as a quiet, humble role model with an old soul. which is the polar opposite of the typical reality TV star hungry for the spotlight. It paints a picture of someone who was grounded and introspective long before the cameras showed up. This upbringing steeped in small-town values, the discipline of a valedictorian, and the practicality of helping at his family's meat market created a young man who was uniquely prepared for the whirlwind of fame. He had an anchor, a deep sense of self rooted in the soil of Vedas, and he was going to need it. Because the storm was coming that would test the very foundation of his world. Every artist is a product of what came before them. For John Foster, his artistic identity is built on two pillars, so intertwined they're almost the same thing: his devout Christian faith and his deep love for neo-traditional country music. To the casual, idle viewer, this might have looked like a simple persona, the country Christian kid. But it goes so much deeper than that. These aren't branding choices. They're his belief system. First, his musical pillar. John calls himself a neo-traditional country artist. That term might not mean much to pop fans, but in the country world, it's a declaration. Neo-traditionalism blew up in the 1980s as a direct answer to the slick, pop-heavy urban cowboy sound dominating the radio. It was a musical rebellion led by artists like George Strait, Randy Travis, and Alan Jackson, who wanted to bring country music back to its roots, back to the sound of fiddles and steel guitars, and back to the honest storytelling lyrics of the honky-tonk. When an 18-year-old in the 2020s says he's a neo-traditionalist, he's making a bold choice. He's turning his back on modern bro country and pop crossovers and aligning himself with a legacy of authenticity. This is why his performances of songs by Alan Jackson and Conway Twitty felt so effortless on the show. He wasn't just covering songs, he was paying respect to his musical heroes. Judge Carrie Underwood even compared him to Dwight Yoakam, saying he was a throwback to 90s country because she recognized he wasn't just performing a style. He was living it. This brings us to the second and arguably more important pillar, his faith. John Foster is a devout Catholic, and this isn't a footnote to his story, it's the headline. His faith is the lens through which he sees everything: success, failure, and most importantly, loss. In Louisiana, Catholicism is more than a religion. It's a cultural force. It's a faith of ritual, community, and finding the sacred in the everyday. For John, this faith is something he lives, not just talks about. He was a lifelong church musician, meaning his first performances weren't for applause, but for worship. That's a completely different training ground. It teaches you that your talent isn't just yours, but a gift to be used for something bigger. It puts humility before ego. It frames music not as a path to fame, but as a path to connection and healing. This spiritual foundation gave him an unshakable way to handle the chaos of the state competition. When his American Idol journey ended as the runner-up, his immediate public reaction wasn't disappointment, but faith. He said, "God has a reason for me being runner-up. This is merely a first step into what he has in store for me." That's not a rehearsed media line. That's a deeply held belief from someone whose self-worth isn't decided by a public vote, but by a sense of divine purpose. These two pillars, his dedication to neo-traditional country and his deep-rooted Christian faith, are separate parts of him. They're one and the same. His music is an extension of his faith, and his faith is what gives his music its power. This fusion would soon be tested in the most painful way imaginable, forcing him to lean on these pillars not just for his art, but for his life. On December 31st, 2022. While the world was getting ready to celebrate a new year, the world of John Foster and his community in Bruce Lee, Louisiana, fell apart. On that day, his close friend, Maggie Dunn, a 17-year-old honor student and cheerleader, was tragically killed in a car accident. She and another cheerleader, Carolyn Gill, lost their lives when their vehicle was struck by a police officer in a high-speed chase. Maggie's brother, Liam, was also in the car and was seriously injured but survived. It's impossible to overstate the impact of a loss like this, especially in a small, tight-knit town. Maggie Dunn wasn't just a name. She was a bright-lighted junior at Brusley High, an honor student, a friend to everyone. Her mother, Erin Martin, who had also been John's teacher, later spoke about the massive void her daughter's death left behind for John Foster. This was the loss of a close friend he had known since middle school. It's a unique kind of grief. Loss of a shared past and, most cruelly, a shared future. It's the empty seat, the future memories that will never be made. It's a sorrow that can easily swallow a young person whole. Facing this immense grief, John did the only thing he knew how to do. He turned to his music. He picked up his guitar and, through the pain, wrote a song. That song was Tell That Angel I Love Her. Writing this wasn't about creating a hit. Was about survival. It was an attempt to make sense of something senseless, to give voice to a pain too big for words. Songwriting became a form of prayer for him, a way to process his anguish. The lyrics are a raw and honest conversation with God from a place of deep hurt, he sings. Though we may not know the reason, it's not for us to understand. Lord, won't you tell that angel I love her as soon as you can? That verse captures everything. It's a perfect fusion of his two pillars, the direct storytelling of country music and the questioning faith of a believer in pain. He isn't pretending to have answers. He's admitting his confusion while holding on to the belief that there is a higher power to carry his message. The song became more than just a personal outlet. It became an anthem for a community in mourning. Maggie's mother, Erin Martin, said the greatest gift you can give a bereaved parent is to #say their names, ... His performance was a tangible example of the light and love that she left behind. Maggie's grandmother called it Maggie's song. It's a beautiful tribute that brought her to tears every time she heard it. This was the hidden struggle John Foster carried with him to the American Idol stage. While audiences saw a polite, talented country singer, he was privately carrying the weight of this monumental loss. Every smile, every note was underpinned by this fresh, raw grief. He wasn't just chasing a dream for himself anymore. He was carrying a memory. His music now had a sacred purpose, to keep his friend's memory alive. When John Foster walked onto the American Idol stage for the top 20 performance, he was about to do something terrifying. He was going to take his most private pain and share it with millions. He chose to sing his original song, Tell That Angel I Love Her. This was the turning point, the moment his hidden struggle collided with his public journey. Imagine the courage that took to stand under those bright lights in front of the judges and a national TV audience and perform a song born from the darkest moment of your life. It's an act of pure vulnerability. As he sang, the emotion was raw and real. This wasn't a performance. It was a testimony. At the end of the song, his voice cracked as he whispered, I love you, Maggie, and the polished TV contestant disappeared, revealing the grieving friend underneath. In the audience, Maggie's mother watched as John honored her daughter on a national stage. The reaction was immediate. The performance left the judges and the audience in tears. It was a moment that went beyond the competition. So it was no longer about vocal runs or stage presence. It was about witnessing a young man's heartbreak. Luke Bryan told him, You've kind of been a wild card for me the whole time. But what you just did there removed all doubts in my mind that you deserve to be here. Carrie Underwood praised the sweet, tender side of his voice the song revealed, a side she hadn't heard before. The performance launched him into the front-runner conversation, not just because it was a good song, but because it was true. From then on, his idol journey was seen in a new light. He wasn't just the kid in the cowboy hat. He was the young man who turned tragedy into a tribute. His later song choices, from a playful take on the bare necessities to a hopeful rainbow connection, felt like a conscious decision to find joy in the midst of sorrow. His entire community in West Baton Rouge Parish rallied around him, watching with a special kind of pride. They knew the story behind the song. They had lived that grief with him. The song he wrote in the solitude of his pain became his signature, carrying him all the way to the finale. He ultimately finished as the runner-up, a phenomenal achievement. But in many ways, the final vote felt like an afterthought. John Foster had already won something much bigger. He took the worst experience of his life and turned it into a source of healing for himself and his community. He had used the massive platform of network television to create one of the most intimate moments in the show's recent history, proving that music has the power to comfort and ensure that those we lose are never forgotten. For many reality show contestants, the finale is the end of the line. The cameras turn off, the buzz fades, and they have to figure out what's next. But for John Foster, the American Idol finale was just what he said it was, a first step. Days after the show ended, he announced his first gig back home in Louisiana. But then came the announcement that really defined his next chapter. On May 24, 2025, John shared that he would be making his debut at the Grand Ole Opry on June 7th. To anyone outside of country music, that might sound like just another show. But to a self-professed country music historian like John, this was everything. The Grand Ole Opry isn't just a venue, it's the sacred heart of country music. To play on the Opry stage is to join an unbroken line of legends. It's to stand in the same circle of wood physically cut from the Ryman Auditorium stage where Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, and Johnny Cash once stood. For a neo-traditionalist like John, this is the ultimate validation. John's own words show how much it meant to him. He shared that on his first visit as an audience member. He had to fight back tears just from being in the building. Now, he was being invited to stand in that circle. "This has been my #1 dream ever since I started music," he wrote. "And now, because of your support, my dream will come true. Glory be to God." On June 7, 2025, that dream came true. For his debut, he reportedly performed a neo-traditionalist anthem and a classic hymn, weaving his two pillars of music and faith together on the genre's most important stage. His performance earned him a standing ovation. The momentum hasn't stopped. He returned to the Opry to perform on his 19th birthday, July 9th, an experience that again moved him to tears. He's scheduled for more dates, is actively writing, and is in talks for recording in Nashville. And yet, in the middle of this fast rise, John remains grounded. He's even admitted that he still doesn't know for sure if he'll be a full-time musician. For the rest of his life, that isn't a lack of commitment. It's a sign of profound maturity. He isn't just chasing fame. He's moving with purpose, guided by his faith and a sense of responsibility. He is still the kid from Adis, the valedictorian who knows that real success is a marathon, not a sprint. The national stage didn't change him. It just amplified the strength of character that was there all along. The story of John Foster is a powerful reminder that what we see on TV is rarely the whole picture. His journey wasn't just about winning a singing competition. It was about a young man who leaned on incredible discipline and unshakable faith to endure an unspeakable loss, and who found the courage to turn his private pain into a public anthem of healing. He stood on one of pop music's biggest stages and chose to sing about grief, hope, and angels. He reminded us that the best music comes from the most authentic places. That vulnerability is a strength, and that real success isn't measured in votes or record sales, but in the quiet work of honoring what you hold dear. John Foster may have been the runner-up on American Idol, but his journey showed the character of a true champion, forged not in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments of faith, discipline, and love. What is your favorite memory of John Foster on the show? And which one of his performances connected with you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And for more deep dives into the stories behind the music, don't forget to like and subscribe.